Ladies and gentlemen, there's a simple truth in life. Not everything needs to be shared. In fact, the more you talk about certain things, the more you weaken them. There are dreams you have, goals you are working on, and decisions you are making that must remain between you and yourself. Why? Because when you talk too much about what you plan to do, you give away the energy that should be fueling your actions. You invite opinions that may not serve you. You expose your vision to people who don't understand it, and worse, who might discourage you. Think about this. Some of the most successful people didn't announce their every move. They worked in silence, built in private, and when they were finally ready, they let their results speak for them. It's easy to seek validation. It's tempting to tell the world, I'm going to do this, or I have this big idea. But the problem is, not everyone claps for you, not everyone believes in you, and some people, they'd rather see you fail. So, here's my advice. If you're working on something important, keep it close. Let your progress be seen, not just heard. Guard your vision like a treasure because it is one. The world rewards those who do, not just those who talk. So, from this moment on, promise yourself, you must not tell anyone again. Let your results make the noise. Every person wakes up every day with a limited supply of energy. Think of it like a bank account. You start with a set amount, and throughout the day, you make withdrawals. Some are necessary, working on your craft, making decisions, solving problems. But then there are the unnecessary withdrawals. Endless talking, explaining yourself to people who don't need to know, sharing plans that aren't ready to be shared. The challenge is most people don't realize how much energy they waste just talking about what they're going to do instead of actually doing it. They announce their goals, they tell their friends, they post about it online, thinking this somehow brings them closer to success, but in reality, it's like spending money on things that bring no return. The more you talk, the more you deplete your energy and the less you have left to execute. There's something powerful about keeping certain things to yourself. When you guard your vision, you protect its strength. When you resist the urge to tell everyone your next move, you keep all that energy focused on action. Have you ever noticed that when you tell someone your big idea, sometimes their response makes you doubt yourself? Maybe they don't believe in it. Maybe they give you a look that makes you second guess your own excitement. That's energy lost. And once it's lost, it's hard to get back. The most successful people have mastered this. They don't waste energy trying to convince people of their plans. They use that energy to build, to refine, to grow. And when the work is done, when the results are undeniable, that's when people notice. That's when they say, wow, how did you do it? But by then, it doesn't matter because the work has already spoken for itself. So be wise with where your energy goes. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every dream needs an audience. Pour your energy into the work, and the work will take care of the rest. One of the greatest lessons in life is understanding that not everyone is cheering for you. It's a hard truth, but an important one. You see, when you have a vision, when you decide to do something different, something bold, something that stretches you beyond where you are, don't expect a standing ovation. In fact, expect silence, expect doubt, and in some cases, expect resistance. People have their own views, their own experiences, their own fears. And sometimes when they see you reaching for something higher, it reminds them of what they're not doing. Instead of being inspired, they become uncomfortable. Instead of supporting you, they question you. And sometimes instead of cheering, they try to pull you back down. Not always out of malice, but because your growth disrupts their comfort. Now, some will disguise their doubt as concern. They'll say things like, are you sure that's a good idea? Or maybe you should play it safe. Others will laugh at your ambition, not because it's impossible, but because they can't see what you see. And then there are those who will outright tell you that will never work. But here's the truth. What they think has nothing to do with what you can achieve. Your vision wasn't given to them. It was given to you. Their belief isn't required for you to succeed. What is required is your own conviction, your own discipline, and your own willingness to stay the course, even when nobody else understands. So don't waste time looking for approval. Don't slow down to explain yourself, and don't let someone's lack of belief make you question your own. Some people won't support you, and that's fine. Success isn't about getting everyone on your side. It's about getting yourself to keep going, no matter who stands with you. There's a certain power in silence that most people overlook. You see, in a world where everyone is eager to talk, to announce, to prove something, the ones who truly achieve great things are often the ones who move quietly. They understand that strength isn't in how much you say, but in how much you do. When you keep things to yourself, you allow your ideas to develop without interference. You protect your vision from outside opinions that can water down your belief. Every time you share your plans too soon, you give people an opportunity to influence you, sometimes for the better, but often in ways that create doubt. A single raised eyebrow, a dismissive comment, or even just a lack of enthusiasm from someone you respect can weaken your conviction. But when you keep your focus internal, you give yourself the space to build unshaken confidence. Silence also allows you to observe. When you talk too much, you reveal your position, your next move, your intentions. But when you hold back, you gain the advantage of learning more about the people around you. You see who truly supports you, who doubts you, and who might try to slow you down. Think about the strongest trees. They grow deep roots long before they ever stretch toward the sky. No one sees the process. No one hears the effort. But one day that tree stands tall, unshakable. That's what happens when you let your work speak instead of your words. So, don't be in a hurry to tell the world what you're going to do. Build first. Grow first. Let people be surprised. Let them wonder. Let them ask, how did you do it? And when that moment comes, you won't need to explain, because the results will say everything that needs to be said. Talk is easy. Promises are cheap. But results are undeniable. You can tell people about your plans, your dreams, your big ideas, but until something tangible comes from it, it's just noise. The world isn't moved by what you say you're going to do. It's moved by what you actually do. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "This is my year," or "I'm going to start that business," or "I'm finally going to get in shape," yet months later, nothing has changed? The words sounded good, but without action, they meant nothing. Now, contrast that with someone who doesn't announce their intentions, who simply gets to work. One day they show up with results, and suddenly everyone takes notice. That's the difference. One person talks, the other does. When you focus on execution instead of explanation, something powerful happens. You no longer waste time convincing people. You no longer seek approval. You no longer need validation. Why? Because your results prove everything for you. If you've built something great, if you've changed your life, if you've succeeded in a way that others can see, you don't have to explain a thing. People respect results. They respect what they can see. They respect the person who quietly put in the work and then delivered something real. So instead of telling the world what you're going to do, go do it. Let your results introduce you. Let your results create the impact. Let your results speak so loudly that you never have to say a word. The more you talk, the more you invite opinions. And not all opinions serve you. It's natural to want to share your plans, to tell people what you're working on, to get encouragement. But the moment you start talking too much, you open the door to something dangerous. Doubt, skepticism, and negativity. Some people will question you not because they care, but because they can't see beyond their own limitations. Others will give you advice that steers you away from what you know you should be doing. And then there are those who will simply try to discourage you, whether out of jealousy, fear, or their own inability to dream big. Words are powerful, but they can work against you if you're not careful. When you share too soon, you give people a chance to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Maybe you tell someone about a new goal, and instead of support, you hear, "That's risky," or "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Now, even if you were confident before, that little bit of negativity starts to take root. You begin to second guess yourself. You slow down, you hesitate, and before you know it, you're stuck paralyzed by the fear that wasn't even yours to begin with. But when you move in silence, when you focus on doing instead of talking, you eliminate that risk. You protect your belief. You give your dreams the space to grow without interference. And by the time people see what you've accomplished, it's too late for their negativity to have any effect. So be mindful of how much you share and with whom. Not everyone needs to know your plans. Some people will doubt you simply because they can't imagine themselves doing what you're about to do. That's not your problem. Your job isn't to convince them, it's to prove it to yourself. Keep your focus, keep your energy, and most importantly, keep your vision protected. Discipline isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you don't do. And one of the most important disciplines you can develop is knowing what to keep to yourself. Most people think discipline is about waking up early, working hard, staying consistent, and yes, that's part of it. But there's another side of discipline that people often overlook: the discipline of silence. The ability to resist the urge to announce everything, to hold back when you feel like sharing, to protect your vision until it's strong enough to stand on its own. When you talk too much about what you're working on, you invite distractions, you invite opinions, you invite people's doubts, their fears, their skepticism, and suddenly what was once a strong conviction in your mind starts to feel uncertain. But when you keep your focus inward, when you guard your plans, you give yourself the freedom to grow without interference. Think of it like planting a seed. If you dig it up every day to show people how it's growing, you'll kill it before it ever has a chance to take root. But if you plant it, water it, and let it develop underground, soon enough it will break through the surface, and by then it's strong enough to withstand the elements. The same is true for your goals. Not everyone needs to know what you're doing. Not everyone needs to be in your circle. The more selective you are with your words, the more control you have over your energy. And the more control you have over your energy, the more unstoppable you become. So practice discipline not just in action, but in restraint. Hold your vision close, work in silence, and when the time is right, let your success speak for itself. Success doesn't announce itself ahead of time. It doesn't send out invitations. It doesn't ask for permission. It arrives quietly, often after years of hard work that no one saw, and that's exactly why it loves privacy. When you're building something great, whether it's a business, a new skill, or a better version of yourself, the early stages are fragile, like a fire just starting to catch. It needs protection from the wind. But the moment you talk too much, you expose that fire to forces that can put it out: doubt, negativity, distractions, and unnecessary pressure. Privacy gives you the space to make mistakes, to learn, to refine your craft without outside interference. It allows you to move freely, without the weight of expectations from people who may not even understand your vision. When you keep things private, you stay in control. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to defend your choices. You can adjust, adapt, and pivot without anyone questioning why. Too many people get caught up in proving themselves before they've actually accomplished anything. They talk about what they're going to do instead of focusing on doing it. But the most successful people understand that the real work happens behind the scenes. They stay quiet, they stay focused, and they let the results do all the talking. So if you're working on something important, guard it, nurture it, give it time to grow before you put it on display. Because when success finally shows up, it doesn't need an introduction. It speaks for itself. One of the greatest traps people fall into is waiting for permission to succeed. They hesitate, they hold back, they second guess themselves. All because they're looking for someone else to tell them, yes, you're on the right path. But the truth is, you don't need external validation. You don't need applause to move forward. You don't need a committee to approve your dreams. Think about it. How many people have given up on something great simply because someone else didn't believe in them? Maybe they had a bold idea, a vision for something new, but when they shared it, they were met with doubt. And instead of pushing forward, they let that doubt take root. They started questioning themselves. And before long, they abandoned the very thing that could have changed their life. The reality is, most people won't see what you see. They won't feel what you feel. Your dreams weren't given to them. They were given to you. So why should you wait for their approval? Why should their belief determine what you can or can't do? The most successful people don't rely on the opinions of others to fuel their journey. They decide, they commit, and they keep moving forward even when no one is watching, even when no one is cheering, because they understand that success isn't built on validation. It's built on action, on persistence, on the willingness to keep going long after the excitement fades. So don't wait for someone to tell you it's possible. Don't wait for permission. Trust in your own vision, your own ability, your own discipline. Because the moment you stop looking for validation, you gain something far more powerful: freedom. And with that freedom, you can accomplish anything. Your vision is one of the most valuable things you have. It's the blueprint for your future, the image of what could be if you stay disciplined and committed. But like anything valuable, it needs protection. If you leave it exposed to the wrong influences, it can be weakened before it ever has a chance to grow. When you have a vision, not everyone will understand it. Some people will question it, some will doubt it, and some will try to talk you out of it, not because they're bad people, but because they can't see what you see. They're looking at life through their own experiences, their own limitations, their own fears. And if you're not careful, their doubts can become your doubts. That's why you have to guard your vision. You can't allow it to be shaped by people who don't share your level of belief. You can't let someone else's fear dictate what's possible for you. Your vision isn't up for debate. It's not something you need to defend or explain to everyone. It's something you need to build. Think of it like a delicate seed. If you plant it and expose it too soon, if you leave it vulnerable to harsh weather, to careless hands, to anything that could disrupt its growth, it may never take root. But if you protect it, if you give it the right environment to grow, in time, it will become something strong, something undeniable. So be careful who you share your dreams with. Be selective about whose advice you take. And most importantly, stay committed to what you know deep down is possible for you. Because if you protect your vision, nurture it, and take action every day, there will come a time when it no longer needs protection because it will have become your reality. The most successful people understand a simple truth. Real work happens behind the scenes. They don't spend time announcing their every move. They don't waste energy trying to impress people before the results are there. Instead, they move in silence. They put in the effort. They refine their skills. They build something of value without distractions, without validation, without the need for applause. Too many people talk themselves out of success because they share their plans too soon. They tell everyone what they intend to do, but before they even take the first real step, they start hearing opinions. Some people will doubt them. Others will give unnecessary advice. Some will even try to discourage them, not because they mean harm, but because they can't see what's possible. And suddenly, that excitement, that inner drive, starts to fade. But when you move in silence, you eliminate that noise. You keep your energy where it belongs, on execution, on discipline, on steady progress. You remove the weight of expectations, the distractions of unnecessary conversations, and the pressure to prove something before it's ready. You give yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to adjust, to refine your craft without judgment. And then, one day, when the work is done, when the results are undeniable, that's when the world takes notice. That's when people start asking, "How did you do it?" That's when success speaks so loudly that you don't have to say a word. So don't be in a hurry to share your plans. Let your actions do the talking. Let your discipline set you apart. Because when you move in silence, you position yourself to win in a way that no one saw coming, but that everyone will respect. There's a certain power in keeping your moves to yourself. The world is full of noise. People talking about what they're going to do, making big announcements before they've taken the first real step. But the truth is, the most successful people don't waste time broadcasting their intentions. They understand that real progress doesn't happen in the spotlight, it happens in silence, in discipline, in consistency. When you move in silence, you keep control. You don't invite unnecessary opinions, distractions, or negativity. You protect your energy. Too many people talk themselves out of success by sharing their plans with the wrong audience. They tell someone about their goal, and instead of encouragement, they hear doubt. "That's too risky." Or, "Are you sure you can pull that off?" And suddenly, the fire inside them starts to fade. But when you work quietly, you eliminate that interference. You build momentum without resistance. You make progress without external pressure. You learn, you refine, you improve without anyone watching, without anyone judging. And that gives you an incredible advantage. Then, one day, when the results start to show, people take notice. They see the transformation, the achievement, the success, and they wonder, where did that come from? That's the moment you win in public. Not because you talked about it, but because you did it. So don't be in a hurry to prove anything. Let your work speak. Let your results shine. Because when you move in silence, you put yourself in the best position to win in a way that no one saw coming, but that everyone will respect. Time is not something that is happening to you. It is something you are moving through, shaping with every thought, every emotion, and every shift in consciousness. Most people misunderstand divine timing because they view it as an external force, something outside of themselves, something they must wait for. But divine timing is not about waiting. It is about becoming. Everything you desire already exists in the field of infinite potential. The love you seek, the opportunities you crave, the abundance you long for, it is all there waiting for you. But it cannot manifest into your life until you align with it. The delay is not because you are being tested, punished, or forgotten. The delay is the space where you are meant to evolve, to shed the parts of yourself that are not in harmony with what you are calling in. Imagine you are trying to tune into a radio station. If you are even slightly off the right frequency, you will only hear static, but the moment you adjust the dial and match the correct vibration, the music comes through clearly. Your desires operate in the same way. They exist on a specific frequency, one of love, trust, and alignment. But if you are stuck in doubt, fear, or impatience, you are not tuned in. You are hearing static instead of the clear signal of manifestation. This is why divine timing is not about sitting still and waiting for things to change. It is about shifting your identity so that you become the person who naturally attracts the things you desire. If you are seeking deep love, you must become someone who embodies love. If you are longing for success, you must step into the mindset and energy of someone who already is successful. The universe does not give you what you want, it reflects who you are. Many people grow frustrated when things do not happen on their timeline, but the truth is, it is not time that needs to move faster. It is you who must move into alignment. The version of you that is still clinging to past wounds, old fears, and limiting beliefs cannot step into the reality you are asking for. You cannot hold on to an identity that is rooted in lack and expect to manifest abundance. You cannot carry the energy of loneliness and expect to attract deep connection. So what feels like waiting is actually preparation. What seems like a delay is an invitation to grow. The reason things have not yet arrived is not because you are unworthy. It is because the highest version of you, the version that can receive and sustain that reality, is still emerging. And when you shift, when you step into the version of yourself that is fully aligned, what once seemed distant will arrive effortlessly. This is the power of becoming. Divine timing is not something happening outside of you. It is something unfolding within you. And the moment you truly step into the energy of your future, time bends, the universe responds, and what was once a dream becomes your reality.